everyone. Today we're working on Unit 5, Number 2, Radical Notes, Simplifying Radicals, and this is day 2. So we worked on simplifying radicals yesterday, and if you remember, variables use the same, or not if you remember, yesterday when we broke down numbers, we made pairs, and the pairs underneath if you had a pair of numbers underneath the radical symbol or the square root symbol, those would come out as 1. And then anything that didn't have a pair stayed under that radical symbol or under that square root. So we're going to do the same with the variables. Variables are just a fancy way to say letters. So they use the same pairing idea. So in this spot right here, write the word pairing. As the numbers. So if I have x squared, that really is just x times x. And if I have y to the 7, that would be 7y. So I'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so let's try some of these. So if I have x to the 5th under the radical, that means underneath this radical, just like yesterday, I have 5 of these. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And just like yesterday, if they were double of something, I would pair them. So I have 2 right here and I have 2 right here. Those are both going to come out to the front and they're going to come out as one thing. So I have a pair of x's and I have another pair of x's. So really, out front, I have x times x. So the first circle of red x's or the 2 blue x's circled in red came out as 1x, and the 2 red, blue, really messing with this, the 2 x's that are circled in red, the other 2 blue x's that are circled in red come out as your other x. But then you have this lonely one left right here. So we're going to put that under a radical symbol, so I'm going to put that square root, and then under it is that leftover x. Okay, but we're not done until we can simplify. If we have x times x, there's like a little tiny 1 and a little tiny 1 here. When you multiply x's, you actually add those exponents. So 1 plus 1 is 2, so I'm going to have x squared on the outside with a leftover x on the inside. So this would be my final answer for that if I was going to simplify that one. Okay, let's look at this next one. We have x to the 6. So underneath my radical, I have 6 x's. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I'm going to circle my pairs. So I have a pair here, I have a pair here, and I have a pair here. So remember, each of those pairs go out front as 1. So instead of 2 x's, now they're 1x. So really I have an x for my first pair, an x for my second pair, and an x for my third pair. Okay? When I look, do I have any other x's that are not circled? I don't. So I don't even need my radical at this time because I don't have anything that would be left under that radical. Okay, so just like number 1, if you have more than one of those, you're going to multiply them. And when you multiply, or not radicals, when you multiply exponents, you add those. So if I have x to the first times x to the first times x to the first, that's going to give me x to the third. And again, you don't have any radical in this one because you don't have anything left under the radical, and these all came out front. Let's try number 5. So number 5 is going to give you a little bit more. So the first thing I'm going to think about is those x's. If it's x to the third, I really have x times x times x. And I like to just put those kind of off to the side just so I can see them. Okay? Just like yesterday, we're going to break up that 24. So if I'm going to break up that 24, and I'm going to use my prime numbers, remember your primes are 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. I'm going to only go up to 11. Remember, there's a whole bunch more after that, but we're going to stop at 11. Okay? 24 is an even number, so I'm going to start with 2. 24 divided by 2, and I get 12. Then I'm going to take 12 divided by 2 because that's even, and I get 6. 6 is not one of my prime numbers, so I got to keep going. So I'm going to say 6 divided by 2, and I get 3. 3 is one of my prime numbers, so I'm just going to stop right there. So when I look, I have a pair of 2's right here, and then we have these left over. Okay, I also have a pair of X's right here. So anything that's a pair comes out front. So my 2's are going to come out front. So I'm going to keep that 2 out front. I have a pair of X's that are just going to serve as 1 now, because when your pairs come out as 1. So I'm going to put that X out front. And now I'm going to use my radical. What I had left were the 2 and the 3. Well, you multiply those together. 2 times 3 is 6. So I'm going to put this 6 under here. And then I have that leftover X at the top that I didn't have circled. So I'm going to put that X in there. So this one right here would be our simplified radical for that one. Okay, let's try number 6. Okay, we're going to do it the same way. So really, I'm going to do this one just a little bit differently, just to make sure you're seeing what I'm doing here. So I'm going to start with this 50. I'm going to start with the number first this time. So I'm going to take 50, and it's an even number, so I'm going to divide it by 2. And I get 25. And now that 25 is not a prime number. So I'm going to divide. First, I'm going to think 25 is an odd number. So I would take 25 divided by 3, and that's going to give me a decimal. So my next prime number would be a 5. So I'm going to take 25 divided by 5, and I get 5 and 5. Okay, so underneath my radical, right now it looks like 2 times 5 times 5. But I'm not done there because I have all these R's. So I want to represent those R's. So I'm going to put 5 of those over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And all those are being multiplied together. Okay, now I'm going to go through and I'm going to circle my pairs. So I have a pair of 5s. Those are going to come out front as 1. I have a pair of R's, which are going to come out front. I have another pair of R's, which are also going to come out front. And then I have a 2 and an R left over. Okay, so let's start with my number first. So my 5 is going to come out first. You always start with your numbers. And it's a pair of 5s, but it's coming out only as 1. And then I have 2 sets of R's. So I have an R times an R. And now I'm going to use my radical, and I had a 2 and an R left. Okay, so far that looks really good. Except we don't want R times R in front of your radical. So I'm going to change that. Remember, it's just like 1 and 1. And when you have exponents, when you're multiplying them, you're actually adding the little tiny numbers. So my 5 is going to stay a 5. I'm going to have R squared. With underneath my radical, I still have 2 and R. So that one's going to be my final answer for number 6. Okay, so let's take a look at number 7. We're going to use the same method. First, I'm going to break down my number. So I'm going to start with this 18. So I'm going to break my 18. It's an even number, so I'm going to say 2 and 9. 9 is odd, so I'm going to say 3 and 3. Okay, so underneath my radical, I have a 2 times a 3 times a 3, but then I have all those 8 of the 6's. So I need 6 of those A's. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now I'm going to find my pairs. So I have a pair of 3's. So those first are going to come out front. I have a pair of A's, a pair of A's, and a pair of A's. Okay, so first I'm going to start with my number, 3. Then I have A times A times A. Underneath my radical, I still have this 2 left over, so that 2 is going to go underneath my radical. And now I want to simplify it. So I have 3. Remember, we add those A's together, so I have A to the 3rd with a square root of 2. So this one would be my final answer for number 7. Okay, let's look at number 8. I'm going to do 8, kind of similar, but I'm just going to do a little bit of a shortcut. Okay, not much of a shortcut though. So first I'm going to start with my Q's. So I have 4 of those. 1, 2, 3. I guess I should make them look more like Q's, not like 9's. 4. Okay, now I'm going to break up my 75. 75, if I had 75, It's an odd number, so I need to start with a 3 because 75 is odd, and I get 3 and 25. 25 is also odd, so I would divide it by a 3, and I'm going to get a decimal. So I'm going to divide it by a 5, and I get 5 and 5. Okay, this time I'm just going to circle my pairs just like how they are. So I have a pair of 5s, a pair of Q's, and another pair of Q's. Okay, so on the outside, I have my pair of 5s, and then I have Q to the second because I circled 4 Q's, but I have 2 circles of them, 2 pairs, 2 sets of pairs. Okay, and then underneath my radical is going to be whatever's left over. So I have this 3 left over. So this should be your final answer for number 8. Let's look at number 9. There it is. Okay, we're going to do number 9 like we did number 8. I'm going to start with my Q's, or sorry, these are U's this time, and I have 4 of those. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to break up by 100. It's even, so I'm going to say 2 and 50. 50 is even, so I'm going to say 2 and 25. 25 is odd. We already did that one. We know it's 5 and 5. Okay, so I'm going to circle my pairs. I have a pair of 2s and a pair of 5s. And then I have these Q's right here. So I'm going to keep those in there. Okay, when I have 2 pairs that are circled, I multiply those together. So this one is coming out as 1, 2, and this one is coming out as 1, 5. So I'm going to take 2 times 5 and I get 10. So I'm going to put 10 on the outside, and now I have to do my letters. I have 2 groups of U's, so I'm going to say U squared. And then when I look, do I have any other numbers that are prime that did not get circled? No. Do I have any letters that are prime and did not get circled? That's also no. So this is going to be my final answer. Okay? And the last one here. So this one's getting a little bit more extreme. So I'm going to start with my X's. And I have 4 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 3 Y's. 1, 2, 3. And now I'm going to start with my 126. It's an odd number. Sorry, no, it's not. It's an even number. So I'm going to divide it by 2, and I get 2 and 63. 63 is odd. So I'm going to say 3 and 21. And 21 is odd, so I'm going to say 3 and 7. Okay, so now I'm going to find my pairs. So right now I have a pair of 3s, but then I have a leftover 7 and a leftover 2. I have a pair of X's, another pair of X's, and 1 pair of Y's. Okay, so anything that's circled comes out front. So I have a pair of 3s that are coming out front. I have 2 pairs of X's. I have 1 pair of Y's, so I'm just writing that 1 Y because it's only 1 pair. And now I'm going to do what's on the inside under my radical. I had a 2 and a 7 left over, so we're going to take that 2 and we're going to multiply it by that 7, and I get 14. And then I still had that 1 red Y up at the top there. We had 1 Y left over. So that Y is going to remain right there. All right, you are all set to work on homework 2. So Unit 5, homework 2.